What's the word, Harrisburg? My name is Matt Maisel. Thank you so much for joining us. One of the great things about having this program is we get to highlight the work of really important nonprofits and the individuals who make those nonprofits function throughout the city of Harrisburg. And with us right now are three people representing three great organizations who we want you to learn more about. We have the Foundation for Enhancing Communities and President and CEO Janice Black. We have Amy Rote from Big Brothers Big Sisters and Tannen Herman from Wild Heart Ministries. Thank you so much to all three of you for being on the program.
Thank you.
So, Janice, I want to start with you because the Foundation for Enhancing Communities, you are a grant and scholarship-based system, correct? You are able to provide grants and scholarships for people in the region, correct?
That's much more.
Okay, please enlighten me because I want to learn as much as possible so that our viewers can learn as much as possible as well.
We are a community foundation, which means that we can provide donors a home for their charitable funds if they wish to start one. We also can provide grants out into the community, the nonprofits. We have a 5.5 county region, which includes Cumberland, Dauphin, Franklin, Lebanon, and Perry, and Northern Dillsburg, which is Northern York. Mm-hmm. So any nonprofit in those areas may apply for a grant.
And I'm continuing this part of the conversation with you because I do want to get into Wild Heart and I want to get into Big Brothers Big Sisters and how each of your organizations have been impacted. But TFEC kind of was in the news a little bit recently because of the homeless situation that we're experiencing right now in Harrisburg. The city asking residents under the Mulberry Street Bridge and that encampment asking them to vacate the area for public health and safety reasons. And TFEC started a fund to raise money to help the homeless. That's correct?
Correct. We started the fund as a partnership between Christian Churches United and I'm blanking on the other.
There's a number of, there's Downtown Daily Bread.
Downtown Daily Bread,
yes.
me. But Christian Churches United is the one that we started talking with. And the money that is to be raised through the fund is to be used to pay expenses for folks who are involved in the homeless, the unhoused, mm-hmm. Through Downtown Daily Bread and through Christian Churches United.
Will this be money that is going towards those organizations to help because of the money that they're spending to help address this issue? I know Downtown Daily Bread and Christian Churches United are purchasing tents. Mm-hmm. Other avenues, there may be an increase in food needed. This is money that is going directly towards helping them as well.
That's exactly what the money is to be used for, to reimburse them the expenses that they incur to help these folks with whatever they need.
That's tremendous.
So it's an unrestricted fund for whatever they need to help these folks.
When you heard about what was going on, why did you take it as like a call to action for the Foundation for Enhancing Communities?
Well, I knew that we could help them in that many times it's better to have a third neutral organization collect the funds for organizations actually doing the work. Sometimes people like to give money to a neutral organization such as us. We don't provide any actual direct services to the community. So we are able to collect funds in this way and then provide it back to the nonprofits.
There has to be, maybe it's just like the nature of working in the nonprofit world, but there has to be something kind of in your heart that, opens yourself up to wanting to help and the enjoyment more than anything mm-hmm. else of helping others. And I really can think of no better example than what we've seen kind of in the last couple weeks. And, here we have this really terrible situation that no one is taking any pleasure in, but the community has kind of come together in a way that is really comforting and reassuring.
Well, everybody would like to see these folks be helped. So when I called Christian Churches United and said we'd be happy to do this, they were very pleased. We're not charging anything for the use of the fund. People can apply either by check made out to TFEC and send it to our address, which is 200 North 3rd Street, 8th floor, Harrisburg, 17101. Or they can go directly to our website, which is tfec.org, and use a credit card.
Well, that's tremendous. Thank you for everything that you're doing there. Whether you're watching this, in the week after this announcement was made, or a month after this announcement was made, this is something that I imagine is going to be, this fund is there a closing date on this fund,
No.
or will it continue to stay open?
It will continue to stay open as long as there's a need.
That's fantastic,
And-
because there's always going to be a need.
Right, and
There
Christian
really will be.
Churches United and Downtown Daily Bread will be the ones who determine when the fund will close.
Great. All right, so we have with us, as we mentioned from the start, we have Wild Heart Ministries. We have Big Brothers Big Sisters, Tannen from Wild Heart, Amy from Big Brothers Big Sisters. Before I ask how your organizations got involved with TFEC, tell me a little bit, Tannen, we'll start with you, what Wild Heart is and what Big Brothers Big Sisters is for people that are not familiar, and what your organizations do.
Yeah, so I mean, the best way to understand who we are is the story of how we got here. So 10 years ago, my wife and I actually relocated to inner city Harrisburg from rural Oklahoma. So you can imagine, worlds of a difference.
Oklahoma,
where the wind comes sweeping down the plains. and we landed here, and we were actually working with another friend of ours, and then he, 2 years later, moved to California. And in the middle of that transition, we were faced with the opportunity to leave or stay. And we really felt like there was an opportunity to do a lot of good inside of Allison Hill specifically. And so we stayed and formed Wild Heart really in response to the needs of the community. What we did, in essence, was just get to know our neighbors. I tell people, if you ask what do I do on a daily basis, I'm a professional neighbor. I just try to be as nice and as helpful as I can. If I can't personally help you, I'll find someone who can. And what that has bloomed into is inviting people into that same story of what does it look like to be present and available with people who have needs and find a way how to meet those needs. And that's blossomed into now, we do beautification projects all over the Hill. We've gone into several other areas of the city of Harrisburg as well, because really it was just about being available. We've seen the city has a lot of needs, and so we're just like, hey, we can show up, we can help. And there are so many people, so many incredible people all across this region who just have time and resource and want to give back, and we've just found a way how to give them a home.
So I know 2 Oklahoma transplants into central Pennsylvania. You and Fox 43's chief meteorologist Braden Long, who is
Okay.
also from Oklahoma, and that's it.
That's
so
fine.
so how did you end up from Oklahoma ending up in Harrisburg?
I'll add too, you have a public works employee who's a transplant from Oklahoma as well.
Good to know.
I was invited here to work with a friend, and so I was newly married. I got married in 2011 and moved here in spring of 2013 to work with them, and so that transition all happened in 2015. Wild Heart was born in 2016, and it's just been making history ever since.
Amy, you're not from Oklahoma.
No, I'm not. I'm from Western Pennsylvania, Ligonier, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Those that are golfers out there know Arnold Palmer's
Yes, yes. I worked 8 years, 7.5 years in Johnstown,
Oh, yes.
and I was born in Pittsburgh, so
know about it.
very,
You know that
very familiar
area.
with Ligonier.
Well, Big Brothers Big Sisters nationally is 100 years old. It's been the #1 evidence-based mentoring organization across the country. We here at Capital Region, we serve Dauphin, Cumberland, Lebanon, Perry, and Lancaster County, and we've been serving over 42 years. So what we do is we create and support one-to-one mentoring relationships that ignite the power and promise of youth. I always say to people, our vision is simple but really powerful. Our vision is that every young person has an opportunity to see their fullest potential. And our youth are able to do that along with the support of our volunteers who are mentors, our Big Brothers Big Sisters staff, the support we get from the Foundation for Enhancing Communities. All of that come together. We're able to not only work with the young person that is paired in a mentoring relationship, but we provide case management and wraparound services for the entire family. So when a young person is paired with a mentor, we can pair them at age 5, and we serve up to, we say, young adults to 22 years of age.
Wow.
So we may say we serve that young person once, but we serve them for a very long time.
Yeah, and there's no doubt about that. So I know that Wild Heart and Big Brothers Big Sisters are 2 of, what would you say, dozens,
Hundreds.
hundreds of organizations which TFEC helps. Do you remember how the relationship with these 2 kind of came about?
Yes. Well, I've known about Big Brothers Big Sisters for years. I've been in town for I was raised in this area, but I've been working with the foundation now for 28 years, and I have known Big Brothers and Big Sisters ever since then, and the work that they've done. I was unable to be a big sister, but I wanted to be. But they have applied for grants many times, and we really get to know our folks when they apply for grants. So,
How so? What's that process like in terms of getting to know someone?
well, when you read the applications that they write, you really get a full overview of what they're doing, how they're doing it, and what they really want to accomplish. So that tells you an awful lot. And then, of course, meeting the folks who work there really helps.
Yeah, I think from a nonprofit, TFEC provides us wonderful opportunities to come together. They bring all community partners together and stakeholders so that we have an opportunity to connect, so that we're not only getting the support from TFEC, but also convening with our community so that all nonprofits then have relationships built with others that can help become bigs in our program, help participate in our fundraising events. So it is much more than just not just being a recipient of a grant, but it's about being part of the community and connecting us together.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
We also provide webinars for our folks that have what we call agency funds, where nonprofits have started their own endowment fund with us, and Big Brothers Big Sisters has done that, and so we have met in that way. But we, as Amy said, provide other opportunities for people to network and get to know each other.
So it's really interesting because we have an organization here in Big Brothers Big Sisters, which has been around for more than 4 decades, and we have an organization, Wild Heart Ministries, which has been around for 6 years, not even 7 years at this point. So 2 completely different sides of the spectrum, but both with similar needs, I imagine, which is why someone applies for a grant, because you're looking to improve something within the organization. Tannen, do you remember what that was when you reached out to and applied for the grant within TFEC, and kind of what it was that led to striking this relationship?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, so when we first began in 2016, it was really just kind of a personal outreach, if you will. We got to have an opportunity to do some good.
How many people were involved?
There were 12 of us when we first started. So, I was just mentioning to Janice before we started filming, we've now have over 1,600 volunteers just in 2022. So it's grown a lot. Did I say 16,000? 1,600.
1,600. No, you said 1,600.
I just want to make sure I'm
Working towards
overinflating. I'm working towards that.
60,000, 160,000,
what I would say,
1.6 million.
I think the way it impacted us when we became the beneficiary of a TFEC grant was it felt like in some ways a stamp of legitimacy on the vision, and that we were hitting the mark inside the community, because obviously anybody in the nonprofit world understands that relationship is everything, not just with the people you're providing a service to, but your donor base, the people who have funds through foundations. And so being new was tough. There's the obstacle there of just like no one really knows who we are, and you hope that you're doing your best to communicate your vision and the worthiness of that. And so when TFEC responded and was excited to give us our first, we received an upstream grant, which we've been the beneficiary of that same grant for 4 years in a row now. It was just this incredible, like, we're not crazy. There's people out there who see that what we're doing can really make a difference. And I think that I could describe that as a massive move of trust actually opened up the door for other individuals to start considering providing resources to us as well. So in a big way, I think we owe a lot to TFEC and the way that they opened the door for us in this area.
So I know when you apply for a grant, you have to, and Janice, you can correct me if I'm wrong here because this is much more your expertise than mine, but my understanding is when you apply for a grant, you have to list somewhat specific reasons or where the money's going to go.
Yes.
So what was that for Big Brothers Big Sisters? What was that for Wild Heart?
So for Wild Heart, the upstream grant specifically that we received was about addressing root causes rather than symptomatic things inside of a community. And so with the work that we do, focused largely on beautification, obviously a symptom would be picking up trash, but a root cause would be trying to find a way how to prevent people from doing those things, and also realizing the needs inside the community for beauty in general. So a lot of that grant has been focused on providing flower boxes for people to plant flowers or food. So it's been twofold on our side, and through that partnership, we've now put in over 300 planter boxes throughout the community of Allison Hill, which I can guarantee you is more than any other neighborhood inside the city of Harrisburg.
Well done.
It's really great.
Great.
And so that partnership, though, too, what was amazing about that, we have so many individuals who desire to volunteer with us of all skill sets, that fund goes directly into that. So every year we ask and we estimate that we can construct, X number of boxes. We always exceed that because we have people who donate parts of those materials in order to make that grant go even further. So I just think that it's been an incredible way to see, a partnership produce even more than it can, because it's not just between TFEC and Wild Heart, but it's TFEC and the region, and saying like, hey, how do we bring this together and do a lot of good, do the most good that we can.
I'd just like to say that when a group applies with us, we're one of the few organizations that really welcome phone calls. We really want them to win, so we encourage them to call. I hope that you did.
I believe we did, yeah.
But we want them to ask questions if they have any about the application. They are able to write the application and give it to our team to look at one time before it's really sent in for funding. So we really help them to grow in their application writing. They have to do the writing, but we want to help them win. So that's our process.
I have a follow-up question for you about the grant application process and kind of how you ultimately decide who gets grants, who's awarded grants. But Amy, I wanted to give you a chance to talk about what TFEC's grants have been able to help Big Brothers Big Sisters with.
There has been so many through the years. I am going to kind of go off of the upstream grant because as he is working on beautification, our upstream was focused on trauma-informed care, which in our kids, as you know, 2021, the Attorney General declared our youth in a mental health crisis. We're at 2023. And we are still in that crisis. Research shows that long-term physical and psychological effects from trauma can be prevented with one simple thing, and that's a supportive person in a child's life, a mentor or guardian, additional support. So our grants help support our wraparound services and the launch of new mentoring relationships in the area, so that those, we call them adverse childhood experiences or adverse childhood environments, living in a neighborhood that is not beautified, that has more violence than others, that may have trauma in their home related to domestic violence or addiction issues or incarcerated parent. All those situations for a child produces trauma, but we can prevent that the more that we put positive people in the life of a child. So that's one area. The Mechanicsburg Area Community Foundation has helped us grow our school-based program. You'll see in Big Brothers Big Sisters land, we have a lot of school-based programs right now because our teachers are I say overworked. They are understaffed, stressed.
Overworked, understaffed, underpaid, underappreciated. You can go.
All
the
of
list
the
goes on
above.
and on.
And there are many. The number of teachers has really decreased.
So we, with the support from TFEC, we were able to expand the capacity of our school-based programs. So we have mentors, either police departments in our Bigs and Blue program, adult mentors. We have high school bigs and college bigs come in, and then we facilitate sessions with them to focus on those social emotional skills like conflict resolution, self-esteem, peer relationships that the guidance counselors would love to spend more time on, but they don't have the time to do so. So the funding definitely helps us in expanding those types of programs for the community.
Basically, it's that extra, you supply the extra bandwidth where schools are, I don't want to say lacking, because it's definitely not for a lack of trying or attempt, but just everyone reaches a point where we just have physically nothing left to give because we're stretched out so thin that's where Big Brothers Big Sisters steps in and is able to provide that extra set of hands.
And it's really from the nonprofit community. We're all looking for those gaps to help support. I mean, our tagline is, bigger together, but it's the truth. I mean, we all have to look at where we can give, and having someone like TFEC to coordinate that and ensure dollars are going out to help support, it kind of helps align everybody's goals and hopefully move the needle in the right direction.
So Janice, let's talk about individuals or organizations that want to now apply for this? Let's get into that. How many applications would you say that you receive over the course of a year?
Oh, probably over 500.
And how many grants are awarded?
Probably about 120.
So it's a selective
Well,
process.
yes, and it's very, it's difficult giving money away. I have to tell you that people work very hard in making decisions when they're handed 90 applications and they might have $100,000 to give, and the request is for $450,000. So it's very, very difficult, and people work very hard to stretch those dollars the most that they can.
It's a heavy decision, I'm sure.
Yes, and Amy mentioned the Mechanicsburg Area Community Foundation. That is a regional community foundation of ours. We have regionals that are they're not their own nonprofits, but they are under our umbrella. Mechanicsburg, Perry County, and Franklin County. So I just thought I'd mention that.
So TFEC is awarding under a quarter of the applicants or so every year, a little more than 100 of the 500 or so some odd people that apply. So how do you ultimately determine who gets these grants? I know you mentioned there's a phone call and you write in the application. What is it that you're looking for that ultimately will lead TFEC to awarding someone a grant?
Well, first of all, we have committees, and the committees are made up of volunteers. I don't know what any of us would do without volunteers. So the volunteers are very much interested in helping to give the funds away, and we help them understand what they have to do, and they read every application. As I said, we have our regionals. We have the Greater Harrisburg Community Foundation, which is the one that does upstream.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Mechanicsburg one, Perry County, Franklin. They all give away grants. Then we also have 5 other grant opportunities for people to apply to from different funds. So we have a lot of opportunities for people to get funding. We never give away money to fund 100% of a grant. We want to really help nonprofits know that they need to reach out to many other foundations and other funders to help them. We want to help increase their impact and help them to learn to build relationships with more different funders. So,
and if an organization is watching this and wants to apply, they're learning about this for the first time, or maybe they've heard about TFEC before and they've thought, I'll do it next year, and then all of a sudden you forget where to go. How do people apply for a grant?
They go to our website, tfec.org, and go to the grant section, and all of our grant opportunities are listed right there. All the deadlines, when they can apply, when the committees will meet, and when they'll be given the answers.
And Amy and Tana, I want to give each of you a chance to plug your organizations as well, and where people can go for more information on Wild Heart and Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Ladies first.
Okay. Yeah. Right now, as I said, we need volunteers. The community in all the counties that we serve. So you can go to our website. Ours is capbigs.org.
CAPBIGS.org.
Yes.
Okay.
And you can click to enroll to be a volunteer. You can enroll a child that way, or just reach out to us to talk about the program a little bit. There's a lot of different options with Big Brothers Big Sisters. We have school-based, community-based. We have workforce development programs. We have Bigs in Blue. We have specialized programs. So there is a fit for you somewhere. And if volunteering as a big is not, you think that that's not for you right now, there's always a way to get involved in committee work and fundraising and events. We're always looking for help.
Yeah, I would say our needs are never going to be too much different. Nonprofits, you always are looking for resources and volunteers. We've managed to be very successful at getting volunteers, and that seems to be something growing, and that doesn't mean that we don't need more. We can always use more because our impact only grows in that vein. There's plenty of opportunities for volunteers to join what we're doing. We not only focus on beautification projects, but we've developed an urban farm now right inside of Allison Hill. It's 2 acres. If you've got a green thumb and you just want to give back, that's a great opportunity. And even people who have certain skill sets, we've managed to rebuild several front porches on neighbors' homes inside of our community as well. So there's something for anyone. If you're watching this and you're saying, like, what can I do to help? Give us a call and we'll point you in the right direction for sure. Of course, just resources. It takes money for any of us to do the things that we're doing. We've managed to be extremely successful in sharing and inviting people into that story as well of how far a dollar can go inside of a community like Allison Hill. So would absolutely love that. And anyone can learn about opportunities to come and serve with us at lovethehillpa.com. And there's our whole calendar year is already marked out. You can come and join with us. We work with companies. If you have like a service day that you want to come and work with us, school groups, church groups, anyone and everyone. I'll work with anybody because there's always something to be done.
This has been such an amazing conversation. Janice, I'll give you the last word.
I just wanted to tell you that when I was speaking about the grants, I was speaking about upstream. In all, we gave out about $250 for a total of about $1 million.
Oh, wow, okay.
In our discretionary grants, which is what we call the grants that committees make the decisions on for our nonprofits.
That is great information. All of this has been wonderful information. Janice Black, President and CEO of the Foundation for Enhancing Communities, supplying incredible grants and scholarship opportunities throughout central Pennsylvania. Amy Rote from Big Brothers Big Sisters, Tannen Herman from Wild Heart Ministries. Thank you all so much for joining us on the program.
Thank
you
you
for having us.
That's the word, Harrisburg. We'll catch you next time here on WHBG Channel 20. Take care.